Yo, yo, what's going on? How's everyone doing today? What's up, DJ Duck? What's up, Cindy? It is Feedback Friday. Almost sounded like Debussy. I love me some Debussy. I was playing around with. I've long forgotten how to play this piece by now, but there is a song or a piece by Liszt that I learned when I was in college called Un Sospiro. That's really beautiful. I should relearn how to play that piece. I can only like approximate it at this point, but it's a really beautiful piece. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing pretty decent today. I feel like I've been quite scatterbrained recently. I think my brain is getting a little distracted and overwhelmed with how many things are going on. Just in general. Literally I just have been forgetting quite easily even what day it is. I was talking to someone about insurance quotes today for some new insurance, and I was saying like, well, okay, let me give me a day to go over these numbers, and they're saying like, okay, well, I'll give you 2 extra days since I won't be in the office the next couple of days. And I'm like, oh, okay, are you going on vacation? It's like, no, it's the weekend. We don't work on the weekends. I was like, oh, right, it's Friday. I don't even know what date is. Anyways, is there a minimum length requirement? Not really. No. Not at all. Share whatever you want. If it's 2 seconds long, that'll just mean there's that much less for me to judge, though, to be fair. Some things in the air have completely lost track of time, too. Yeah, you and me both. Let's see. When I was a kid, I used to watch Stargazer with Jack Horkheimer, and he would play Airspeak, by Debussy. I actually don't know that piece, and I never knew until recently. Very cool. Love me some Debussy. I should really start getting into reading sheet music again, because there's something about the discipline required to learn a piece. It's so much effort, for me at least. Like, some people are quite talented with reading sheet music. I'm not one of those people, so I've always stayed away from it. But there's something so satisfying about playing a good piece of music after having spent dozens and dozens of hours learning it on piano. But yeah, I just figured I'd start a little bit earlier today. Well, why don't we try to get into things here a little bit? I'm gonna switch pianos here to something a little less cinematic, a little bit drier. Let's see, what about maybe not quite that sharp. Yeah, let's do something like this, and let's get into some of these submissions. Cool, let me open that. I'll open that Spotify link, and I'll check it out later. Thanks for sharing. Actually, this artwork looks super familiar. Arabesque. Interesting. Oh, whoops. I did not mean to start that. Okay. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that have submitted so far. What's up, Maddie? What's going on? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Let's choose the first winner. Let me try to come up with a little, a dramatic raffle. All right, Mana, what's going on? What you got for us today? Don't tell me you already went AFK, bro. We just started the stream. Great start, yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be seeing Bob Moses tonight. There's a venue that opened recently here in Milwaukee called Landmark. And I haven't seen them perform before, so my fiance's a huge fan of them. Okay, what's up, Ession? Let's move on to the next person. Looks like Mana's AFK. What's up, DJ Deck? What you got for us? Okay, let's take a listen. Also, sorry if I'm a little low energy today. Hopefully, as the stream goes on, I'll kind of wake up a little bit more.
They're waiting for you. Look.
Cool. Yeah, I really like the idea. I feel like you got some good stuff going on here. I gotta engage my feedback brain here, because I feel like I was just kind of enjoying the track instead of maybe trying to critique it consciously. Which honestly, maybe that's not even the best way to give feedback. I don't know. I feel like in general, there's a lot of great stuff going on. I think it's a great, feels like a great demo. The primary reason why I might consider it a demo still is it feels maybe a bit rough around the edges, mix-wise, maybe a little more attention to detail to some specific transitions and little things could kind of push it over the edge into like more polished territory. But lots of cool stuff going on. I like it a lot. So for this, like for example, in this intro, well, maybe I should talk about a couple of highlights, like things that for me I thought were working really well. I'm not sure exactly what made you think about this being like your most Monster Catty tune, which by the way, don't feel pressured to send me stuff that you feel like sounds Monster Cat-esque, because of course I have some songs signed to them and I have a history with them, but I like a wide variety of stuff. So that being said, I do really like the groove here. I understand why you might think that, with a heavy emphasis on like synthy melodic EDM, I guess. But it's definitely got its own thing going on, which I appreciate. I think the kind of like sawtune garage thing is interesting. I feel like most garage and like UK stuff tends to be like more bass heavy. Not very melodic, so it's kind of cool to hear something like this. Or at least that's what I've mostly been hearing. I don't hear much like highly like harmonic and melodic garage oriented stuff. So it's cool. Some of these vocal chops, they do kind of repeat a little bit too much, I think. They kind of like it starts becoming a little overkill. So I'd be a little careful there, kind of leaning into that a bit too much. That's actually maybe one thing that I would say overall is maybe a bit of a critique, is that that vocal chop feels like it's maybe too present overall in the song. It's there right off the bat in the beginning. It's a huge part of the drop. It's kind of just there almost the entire time. So I think that maybe over-reliance on that could bite you in the foot a little bit. I might try to find ways to maybe muffle it in the intro a little bit, or instead of like having a be so up front, create a little more variation with it if it's gonna be that present throughout the whole thing. So that could be a cool consideration for you. But yeah, overall I just think it's a little more attention to detail, and then it'll feel more like a finished, polished track. And I think that the vocal is maybe just like one of the first things that popped out to me in that space that I would try to own in on a little bit. But the thing is, overall, it's all working quite well. I like it a lot. I like the idea. So it's a cool tune. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. That's probably because I only sidechained the kick. Okay. I mean, you know, that's another thing that I feel like sometimes backfires in how there's a lot of different approaches to EDM, obviously, when it comes to side chaining. I think like if you're doing like a rim shot, I don't know. I didn't feel like it wasn't present enough if you're talking about like how you're side chaining your drums with Eidolon. I'm not sure. You know, I'm obviously not listening on speakers. I'm just listening on my in-ears, but I mean, I do feel like its presence is okay for me in the mix. It doesn't feel like it needs to be, let's say, like that much. It doesn't really need to pop out a bunch more, in my opinion. Yeah, but anyways, let's move on. I don't really have too much else to say. It's just a cool tune, and I feel like a little more polish, and it'll make a big difference with this track. So let's see what else we're working with today. The rim shot is fine without sidechain, but I think the kick sidechain is too deep. Yeah, could be. I've really been enjoying experimenting with compactor for less like over the top, purely volume based side chaining. So maybe that's something that could help out. And honestly, Kilohertz did everyone a favor by releasing that thing for free. It's just such a cool mixing tool. And I feel like I feel like I talk about it a lot, considering that I actually don't maybe get that many amazing results with it. but I do like it a lot as a mixing tool. It's really powerful. It's free, and I feel like I'm still learning how to use it in the right situations. I've been doing like 70% ducking and 50% compactor. Nice. Also, what's up, Overthinker? You got something for us, or are you AFK as well, sir, or ma'am, or anything in between, or above, or below? Yeah, I mean, when I say sidechain, I only volume sidechain, and everything ducks around the kick, for sure. Which, like, honestly, for most intents and purposes in the EDM space is totally okay. I think that, especially in EDM, maybe that's a space where that's totally fine. But it's interesting too when you think about artists like VR, who I'm pretty sure I don't know this 100% because I don't. It's not like I have access to all of his project files. He obviously talked a lot and has been known for talking about like what is it, ring mod, sidechaining, and things like that are more like what Compactor does. And I don't know how big of a part of his mixdowns that is, but I will say when you listen to his tracks, I mean, his drums feel extremely present in the mix. So I don't really know where I was going with that thought. But anyways, looks like Overthinker's AFK. Let's roll on to the next person. VR does a mix of Ghost Kick and ring mod, right? Yeah. I do like his mixdowns, VR's mixdowns quite a bit. I mean, there's so much. I feel like there's a lot of electronic music that feels a bit on the lazy side when it comes to, good, pleasant mixes, because it's quite easy, I feel like, to get away with things in the EDM space, which is, in a way, it's also a good thing, because I think it makes it easier for people that have really good ideas in that space to still succeed, because then you don't have to be like some incredible mixing engineer, myself included, right? Like, I definitely would not consider myself a particularly strong mix engineer. Wait, what is going on? We're doing Spotify. Can you guys let me know if you can hear this? Wait, hold on. Why is it so quiet? Yes? Okay, cool. What the hell's going on here? Get out of here. Nice chord. You sent me the Spotify link. You're like, I'm gonna collect those 0.003 cents. Thank you for the follow, Simonis. Cool. It's interesting hearing, let's say, some older tracks of yours. I feel like I can hear a pretty big upgrade compared to 2 years ago in terms of your production quality when you send more recent works in progresses in the stream. But that being said, I do like this track. It's pretty cool. I think maybe I'm not sure if us talking about like more melodic garage or whatever you might call this is what kind of triggered your thought to submit this track specifically, but yeah, it feels good. It feels like there's like the arrangement and the production, all of it works, and I feel like you always have a good like I always get the impression that you have a good instinct when it comes to arranging tracks to be to have like a good ebb and flow, like a good amount of variety, but still like kind of a pretty clear focus from beginning to end. So that's something that I feel like you definitely are pretty consistent with overall. It does feel a little bit, let's say, plain in terms of like sound design, at least. Like it would be I think it would have been nice to have heard I don't know, just a little more processing, a little more just unexpected, or a lot of a little more attention to detail and those kind of things, but regardless, it's a cool tune. It's also obviously a bit older, so it feels weird to critique something that's like 2 years old, considering I know what some of your more recent stuff sounds like as well. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I guess I don't really have too much else to critique in that regard, to be honest. Your stream is tweaking. Wait. Huh. Hopefully it wasn't like that for everyone. I saw your messages about some kind of echo, but anyways, why don't we move on to the next person? I also might hit the bathroom actually super quickly here, and then I'll be back in just a moment. So bear with me, y'all. I'm just gonna throw up the BRB screen. Look at this. Gorgeous. And in true fashion, actually, I should probably get the BRB song going real quick before I head out. I say that as if I'm going to be gone for like a long time, but okay. Let's get rid of the warp. All right. There we go. BRB. Yo. Thanks for waiting, y'all. Can I tell you guys briefly about this dream that I had last night? It was pretty cool. I only have like a small. Wait, there's a exclamation mark wrist command. We gotta do follow up. I did not know that existed. What's up? Sucks it beats. What a name. I was dreaming I was out in this kind of like rocky wasteland-esque landscape with like sparse vegetation and like these red rocks. Actually very similar to the Denver, like the color of like the Denver Red Rocks venue, like that kind of like burnt like red orange type of rock. And I was out like hiking with some friends, and for some reason all I remember is before that there was like this preface to that setting of my dream where I don't know if you guys have seen the TV show there's actually a few like sci-fi novels and books that explore this and TV shows, but there's like the comedy rom-com Upload, which is quite funny and interesting, that plays around with the idea of uploaded intelligence. And then there's Pantheon, and those are pretty cool. But anyways, my brain was like in my sleep riffing off of that and was like imagining what it would be like if some like early versions of that technology became available. And in my dream, there's all these people, despite it being like experimental technology, that became like obsessed with the idea of being able to, live eternally digitally. And then so they all these people are like flocking to these centers to get a chance to potentially upload their brain, not knowing whether it's actually going to work. And but anyways, it ends up creating less lower conflict in the real world, and less competition over resources, and people end up living in this kind of like more nature focused / oriented lifestyle, even though it's kind of like a sci-fi setting. And anyways,
do you like your me for Tomodachi life?
Yeah, what you sent me was pretty cool, but I don't know exactly what that means. Or I saw the screenshot, so it looks like you created some kind of virtual version of me listening to my twofold albums, which is pretty cool. But I just thought that was a pretty interesting dream, and the feeling, but also just like the feeling of being in nature was great. Maybe my subconscious is telling me to get outside more, and adventure more, go on some road trips more often. I think there's maybe like a little bit of a desire to do that, especially after the long Wisconsin winters here, man. They are long winters here. Okay. Anyways, that's my dream. Let's move on to the next submission here. I just be having dreams of making a fool of myself. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's very rare for me to have such vivid dreams like I did last night. It happens literally like every few years maybe that I have something that specific kind of ingrained in my brain when I wake up. And it was a great feeling. I love the adventure that dreams can take you on. And it's so fascinating that these are our own minds doing this, obviously influenced by other factors. Like, I think I may have seen some random headline at some point about cryogenics, and maybe the idea of like people trying to freeze themselves to then be de-thawed like hundreds of years in the future influenced that dream. It totally did. But anyways, it was some like Fallout-esque headline. But anyways, okay, let's get back to it. Feedback Fridays turned into sci-fi Fridays there for a second. Let's choose the next winner. What's up, Dumb Days? What you got for us? Might have another AFK here. Haywyre, you should turn that into a music video. I very well might do that. Lovely playing. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out for the first time. If you want to submit to Feedback Fridays, you can just type !join into the chat. It'll enter you into a random raffle. And it's completely random, by the way. Also, Memory Beats, what's going on? Thanks. I see you just followed as well. Let's roll on to the next person. Looks like Dumb Dazed is AFK. What's up, Avenir Music? What you got for us? All right. What do we got here? What are we getting ourselves into? Let's find out. Guessing this is a splice vocal or something like that. Oh, that's right. I think I remember you maybe mentioning this in the past before. I hadn't heard about this different kind of model for buying top lines, essentially. Okay, so I think there's some good stuff going on here. Your arrangement is it works, and I think there's a lot of good production. I saw your note about where the vocals came from. I am curious. I think we maybe briefly addressed this once before, but I am curious about what kind of guarantees Vocalfy has for AI generated stuff. I'm assuming that they don't sell AI generated vocal top lines because that would probably make customers that would probably upset customers, but it is something I'm curious about. It's like how would they even guarantee that something isn't AI generated? But anyways, this is something that crossed my mind. It's not really necessarily related to specifically giving feedback on the track, but more just like the sourcing of the vocal. What you did with it is great. I think it works quite well, and I do enjoy the like minimal style vocal drop with kind of like the tremolo vocal chop style. I think that's cool. Reminds me of like Stutter House and that kind of stuff. So it's effective, and I think mix wise, things are sounding quite solid. Very nothing sticks out as being, let's say, really out of place or really problematic. I think that might be the case though, to a fault, where it feels like maybe there is not enough character overall, because everything feels very like safe and friendly. So it almost feels like it's maybe a little like it could use more flair, more flavor. And that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. You could take any single aspect of the song and try to maybe dive a little bit deeper into that. So like, whether it's like sound design or mixing or rhythmically what's going on. I'd say like, one thing, a small thing that just popped into my mind is that once we get to like the section of the song where you have the 2 and 4 claps coming in, I feel like that clap feels a little bit too lo-fi to me, especially when you compare it to like, I bet if you were to isolate the high end for the song, you'd hear a lot of kind of like the vocal sibilance popping through and other elements, and then that clap would be very kind of like not so present. And I would just explore that a little bit more and see if there's any other sounds, whether it's like maybe like a pre-clap or other things to kind of like brighten it up a tad. It could also be like an EQing, mixing kind of thing. But that's something that I noticed. But yeah, I think like overall, there's nothing that feels out of place or that feels like it's like egregiously like too loud or really obnoxious. But like I said, I think that's actually my biggest gripe with it, is that it feels like because of that, it's kind of like lacking some something that gives it a little more character. So that's like my biggest piece of feedback, I would say, is I just think there's room to kind of explore more. But I do like it. I like that kind of like minimal Stutter House vibe that you've got going there. It's cool. So thank you for sharing. I guess there's some level of trust they aren't lying, but I run every vocal through AI checker for sure. That makes sense. It's just it's so interesting, man. This new era of music production is just crazy. Because I mean, I feel like AI checkers are also not really reliable. Not that I want to harp on this too much or anything, but I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I understand, these systems are not perfect. And, even if you look in the academic space, students who get their, papers graded with these AI checkers, and they're not always that accurate. And they might flag something as AI when it isn't. And I don't know how an AI checker would even. Obviously, there are a lot of nuances there that I'm not smart enough to know about in terms of how these models are trained and what they're trained on. So I remember seeing, for example, there was a video on, I think it was Rick Beato's YouTube channel, where he brought in Ben Jordan, I think is his name, the flashbulb. And I think he was talking about some kind of like AI detection software that kind of works based on it. There's something about there's an assumption being made there that like a lot of models are trained on Spotify's catalog or music available on Spotify, and that's obviously compressed in a certain way, and therefore outputs kind of reflect that compression algorithm. So apparently there are things like that can help with identifying, but I don't know. Anyways, it's not my forte, so I should probably stop talking about it. Let's move on to the next person. And thanks for sharing, Avenir. It's a cool tune. Who do we got next? What's up, Perlion? Good to see you here. I might do a Feedback Friday bingo. All right, let's check this out. Always curious to see what you're sharing with us, Perlian. Lucid Dreams. Very cool. It sounds like a great sketch so far. It feels very progressive, as in, kind of subtle changes happening over time, and kind of like minimal, not a ton of layers, but I really like those those pads and the kind of like frequency sweep movements. It sounds like it's kind of got like a high pass filter that's like slowly, like the cutoff is slowly descending with like a resonant peak on it, and it's really satisfying. It's like it gives me old school PlayStation vibes, and I like the choice for the drums to be like really kind of low passed as well. So it's like. So I think that, I could see this going a lot of different ways. At one point I kind of wanted to start hearing some more development in terms of like percussion and that kind of stuff. Like maybe start introducing like a hi-hat. Maybe start introducing some other gentle percussive elements here and there. Yeah, you could gradually introduce other elements that kind of fit this vibe quite easily. I'd imagine, even like some reverb, like some washed out reverby piano could be kind of cool. Just like throw something like. You know what I mean? I would just keep developing it. It feels like there's a lot of room to keep exploring this. Just maybe there's some kind of melodic motif that that can kind of hook the listener too at some point. Just feels like a good foundation, but there's honestly there's not a ton to critique quite yet. So I just feel like, the biggest critique for me is just it's lacking development. It feels very, very early on in the production process. But everything that's here I like a lot. So I think like the flavors that you're working with here are great. I would just keep exploring it. Okay, this is another thing I noticed, by the way. This is a small detail, but you obviously have some kind of sidechain trigger happening here, and the kick drum's gone. And for me, I kind of prefer that not to be the case. Like, it can be a creative decision to have things be sidechained, even when there's no sound that feels like it warrants it. It could be a cool creative decision to do that. I kind of feel like I'm so used to hearing like the kick drum like pumping during those like moments where the sidechain is active. It feels kind of awkward to have it not audible there, and then to transition into the same loop without it. Maybe that's not intentional. I'm not sure. But you are basically repeating the same section here, but without sidechaining. So alternatively, something that I could see happening is, instead of hard cutting the kick out here, you could have the kick gradually disappearing into this kind of like washed out ambient soundscape. And as the kick is reducing in volume, the side chaining is also reducing like proportionately as well. And that might be a more gentle way to transition between these two sections. Other than that, I just hope you keep working on it, because I like it. I feel like that's part of your production style, is these kind of like ethereal pads with those kind of like resonant high pass filters kind of moving around. I feel like I hear you doing a lot of work like that, and it's nice. I like it. So keep working on it. For this one, I'd like to be very gentle. Drums, yeah, for sure. Drums like Daft Punk, totally. I can see that. Cool. Let's move on to the next person. Who else we got in here? Wait, Art Nerd, you got something you're sharing today? I'm curious. What's up, Lotzi? Oh, we're switching it up to something heavy. Let's see what you're cooking. Chef Lotzi, what you got? Cool. Word. All right. Some good stuff going on here. I like your drums. Drums are cool. There's some cool sound design going on. I feel like the structure largely makes a lot of sense to me. There are some things that feel maybe I'm not sure. It feels like there's some stuff missing. And maybe a little bit of attention to detail that could help your track to continue developing it. But let's go to the intro again briefly here. I feel like the bass sounds should be a bit more they should be EQ'd a bit differently in the intro, I think. I like that they sound obviously a little bit low passed. It's nice to have some movement in there as well, just to kind of like have some foreshadowing going on, and I like that. aspect of it, but it feels overall like a little bit too present in the mix. I would like it to sound more like it's kind of surfacing up from the from the depths of the water, kind of like popping up its head on occasion, a little bit here and there, but you really want to preserve a lot of that impact and like the mids and stuff for the drop. So I kind of felt like I mean, you can kind of compare the intro bass to this, and they're actually quite similar in terms of the presence they have in the mix. So to me, that I wouldn't do it that way. I would try to like tone down and like try to find ways to experiment with it a little bit more and remove just its overall presence, I guess, a bit. I'm also not sure about having the sidechain there in the intro as well. So, you know, one thing you could do, I'm not sure how you have your sidechain set up, but, you know, if you have a dummy signal, for example, I would just automate it and reduce the volume of that dummy signal by quite a lot. And I think that because I'm just going to throw that out there. My brain's not working too great right now, so I was going to go on this tangent about why I think that would be helpful, but that's just, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that could help differentiate the intensity of the intro section versus this section. And plus, like, you know, these intro drums are also very, they're muffled, which I think is good. You're kind of like setting the scene. And they also kind of drive the track forward. It's kind of like you feel this kind of like momentum and this energy is like, you know, you feel like in the background you hear that. And that's good, but I don't think that the muffled drums should warrant that kind of sidechaining to be happening in that way. I think you want to preserve the more intense sidechaining for the actual drop. So those are some like subtle kind of mix changes that could probably help you in the intro here. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the actual drop. I'm not like completely convinced by your control of like the atmospheric elements and like these background elements that are going on. You know, I like the idea of having like this that little downbeat thing before going into kind of like the more main sustained bass note riff is nice. I'm just not completely sold about that like little pad in the background that's playing along with the bass, because it kind of makes it too similar to the intro to me. It feels like this is a great moment to draw some attention to a contrast, like a big contrasting section here. And I think that I'm just not 100% sure about that background pad being there. And if you do keep it, if you do want to have it there, I think at the very least it's possible that maybe there's just something more interesting that could be going on with it instead of just having it sitting on top of the mix. You know, maybe it's, instead of kind of more sustained, maybe it's like chopped and doing some kind of like, you know, you could imagine maybe some kind of like re-triggering envelope of like 16th notes on the amplitude of that or something, like, or is it 30 seconds, maybe like something like that, instead of it just being sustained. Because again, I feel like a lot of the energy for a drop like this is going to come from how you decide to contrast the drop to the intro. And so the more I'm talking about this, the more I feel like that's kind of the bigger picture thing that wasn't working for me, at least. That's just my personal take on that. But Yeah. Anyways, like I said before, the drums are great. I think there's a lot of cool sound design in the bass and stuff going on too. So really, it's just more of like a I guess the choices on the creative choices going into the the overall just like arrangement for the drop and how that compares to the intro. So that's kind of like the what's on my mind at the moment. I also kind of feel like this is probably not a section of the song where you need to low pass. You have that. Hold on, let me get rid of the reverb on this for a moment. You have some kind of ARP playing in the background here. So you have that playing in the background, and I like it. But you know, we're kind of like in one of the sections of the song that presumably is gonna be like the highest intensity portion. And so I think low passing that ARP feels more like something you do when you're in a lower intensity part of the song. So it almost feels like the cutoff should be more open. It's interesting because in this section, you know, I can tell you obviously decided to remove any kind of other elements that might so it's actual just drum and bass there, and well, what I meant by that is just like it's literally just drums and bass sounds. There's no like background elements or other things going on, and the impact there feels so different to me than, you know, over here. But anyways, it's interesting. I think like at the end of the day, these are all creative decisions that you know, we would all do slightly differently. So it's not necessarily always about like better or worse, which kind of objectively just doesn't really exist in the world of music. You know, it's just preferences and we're all different when it comes to that. So yeah, I think either way, what you have here is a really cool idea. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, so I appreciate you sharing it. And yeah, actual drum and bass. Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad you aren't pointing out any major mistakes. Yeah, I mean, again, wait, why does the SoundCloud icon look so odd now? Am I tripping? Is this the new color? Maybe I haven't been on SoundCloud enough recently to notice that until now. But anyways, why don't we move on to the next person? Thank you for sharing, Lotzi. Some hawk-eyed chatters noticed there's slight audio duping on stream for their songs. Do you think you're capturing two audio sources? No, that should not be the case. That's interesting. Could you guys let me know how bad it is? Is it quite distracting? The audio doubling, it's really odd. Haven't heard of that issue on my streams before. And I haven't made any adjustments, so that's really weird. It's pretty bad. Phasing is ruining the low mids. Distracting enough that I thought it was poor mixing. Huh. Not really sure what to do. I mean, Well, Lotzi, did you? Well, are other people noticing this as well? So it's not just Lotzi. Were you Oh, okay, so it's definitely not something. The loopback input enabled in Ableton? No. Well, it definitely sounds like something that's quite distracting, especially for Feedback Fridays. I don't want you guys to be listening to like phased out sketchy versions. I'm on edge and also doubling but barely noticeable. True. Okay, interesting. Huh. I didn't notice anything. That's unfortunate. I'm not entirely sure what to do. I feel like if it's that noticeable, then maybe I should like try to end the stream and restart it or something. I might need to restart my PC. I did have some other random issues that were unrelated to the audio, with OBS not recognizing my camera for a bit, among some other random little things. So maybe I just need to give her a reboot. What's up, Sticky Hands? We might have to maybe just power through the rest of the day and then you fix it after stream. Yeah. But please let me know. It's not 100% consistent, so it might actually be bleed from monitors. That's the weird thing, is that my monitors should actually be completely off. I checked that earlier, and now they're literally off. But okay, let's try like another submission, and you guys let me know if you can still hear it. What's it do? It's raining here, so I'm happy with the muddy weather today. Nice. What's up, Sucks at Beats? What you got for us? All right. What have you got for us, sir? If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been producing for? I feel like the arrangement so far makes sense. Oh, we got the key change. Okay. Well, I will say, you have obviously arranged something in a like song-like manner, so it does feel like the arrangement makes sense. You obviously have like that recurring theme throughout the whole song. It feels to me kind of like a video game OST kind of thing, like maybe something you'd hear in some kind of old school Game Boy-esque kind of game or something like that. So if that's kind of what you're shooting for, you're in the right space. Problem is, it makes it a lot more difficult for me to kind of give solid feedback because it just depends on what your intentions are with what you're creating. Because there are things that I would suggest that may not necessarily make sense if you're kind of like shooting for, an OST type of vibe. If you're shooting for something that's a little bit more like, well, yeah, I don't know. It might just be tough for me to give good feedback. It is what it's for a game, but it got scrapped. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me then, because, yeah, honestly, it makes it really tough to give feedback because a lot of times when I'm thinking about, suggestions when it comes to mix or writing and things like that, I kind of do it more from the perspective that like somebody's creating something for, it's like a standalone thing that people are, listening to and experiencing on its own versus like obviously if you're creating something that's meant to be part of like an OST or part of a specific type of video game, then it's more like supplementary. It's like it's experienced along with something else. So that makes it really hard for me to give good feedback on if I'm being honest. Yeah. So I don't really have a ton to say if that's the case too, because like I'm also not necessarily not somebody with a lot of authority when it comes to video game OSTs. I've had some songs synced to video games, but that's very different than, let's say, like composing something specific for a game. So yeah. So yeah, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I just genuinely, I'm not sure how to tell you anything that could actually be helpful. So don't take that the wrong way. It's not a bad thing. It's not really a good thing. I feel like, if I could try to think of, let's say something that I would maybe do slightly differently. Like, let's see, like the key change stuff here at the end, for example. So you're going. And then you're going from F minor up to that, F major. You're ending on the F major and then going to the E, B minor. I feel like there's probably a more interesting way to make that key change happen, possibly. Like that, for example. Like maybe you could keep moving down, keep descending. Something like that. I don't know. But that makes it a little more interesting, I guess. Instead of jumping from that F major up to the B minor, it feels a little bit unnatural. But anyways, that's some random thought. And then there's another key change here where something similar happens, but obviously that would mean kind of like introducing some extra measures to make room for that those chords. But yeah, it's just tough for me to give feedback on it, to be honest. Anyways, hopefully that gives you at least a little bit of insight into some feedback. But thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Let's move on to the next submission and see if we still have some issues with audio. What's up, Martin Music? What's going on? All right. Was supposed to be listening for phasing. Let's see. Can you, Martin, do you mind letting me know if your track sounds normal on stream?
Midnight blooms where silence grows, a garden fed by undertows. I trace the stars behind closed eyes, each one a name I never write. Glass beneath my feet again.
Sounds very, very limited. Cool, but I am curious about the vocal as well. I'm curious if it's a splice or original or AI or something else.
Hey!
So if I'm understanding correctly, then this would kind of serve as a demo for you to find a vocalist to actually perform that then. Which, yeah, it would be great for you to find a singer to kind of take on that role. Because the vocal is a huge part of the song. With that being said, there's some great... so I'm just going to omit the vocals from the feedback as much as I can. Obviously, it's a huge part of the song. But I think like in terms of production, there's still some cool stuff going on. I like the kind of like more minimal, subdued drop approach. I like the kind of like polytonal bass sound design stuff. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Slum Village, the Moody Good Slum Village remix, but like a more of like a drum and bass type of vibe, obviously. But this poly bass, damn, you got me there, Eidolon. But it's really cool. I like that kind of stuff a lot. It does feel like the song is quite over compressed, over limited. There's like pretty much right off the bat in the intro, you can absolutely have more dynamics in your track. And it's not, you know, for demo purposes, not a huge deal, but just take that into consideration. For like a more final version. It definitely doesn't need to be quite that brick walled. I know it's EDM, but some dynamics are still good.
The ceiling hums in winter tones.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not surprised by the AI vocal. You know, I'm trying my best to stay open-minded with these kind of use cases. You know, like I appreciate you at least acknowledging that, like, you know, you're searching for a vocalist to kind of replace the, you know, these AI generated vocals, which are also based off of something that you created. So, you know, I can understand the idea of like wanting to show like a demo. Just not really sure like it's really needed at the same time. You know, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it does make me a little sad, you know. I feel like some of these lyrics too, you know, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, there's sometimes certain lyrics that feel very AI generated too, and I can't tell you exactly how to put my finger on it, but I've heard how, you know, Suno sounds when it's generating its own lyrics and stuff, and it's got a certain like the kinds of metaphors and like similes and stuff it uses feel kind of they've got a certain consistency to them. But either way, I know you said that it's partially based on your own stuff, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but it's really it's kind of insane to think about how much Feedback Fridays has changed just over the last year alone. I feel like these questions are so common now about like I still remember the first like AI generated song submission. I think it was actually Moogard or someone, and they were like, you know, kind of maybe doing it facetiously. I don't even think it was meant seriously. And then I went on some rant about AI music. But yeah, I don't know. It's an ongoing conversation. It's an ongoing issue, and I'm still curious to see how things kind of keep developing with that. And I mean, the lawsuits of Suno are still going strong, and I don't know, man. It feels like to me. It feels like it's just like a Wild West kind of scenario where it feels like everything goes right now for the most part. at least until these lawsuits are settled and maybe there's a stronger kind of like precedent maybe set for like what happens when these companies are exploiting literally every bit of music that exists on the internet and then turning that into like a business model. It's pretty insane to think about. But anyways, I think going back to the song, yeah, I think like my biggest bits of feedback omitting the vocal are just that it does sound quite overcompressed. There's some really cool drop sound design going on, kind of like that minimal approach is cool. I like that. Just more breathing room would be really great. And honestly, aside from that, it's a great tune. So yeah, I would just try to focus on implementing that stuff. Also, by the way, did the track sound normal to you guys on stream? Can I just double check? To be fair, I believe most of the commercial vocal AIs are trained with the vocalist's consent. So it's still a gray area, but less gray. Yeah, it's that could very well be true, but I know that for Suno that's not the case, and I know that a lot of people use Suno. I compared it to direct from SoundCloud and it sounded the same. Okay, good. So maybe it's not as much of an issue anymore. But yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment, I guess, right? Because there are, for example, I think I have it's called Sound ID, I believe, from SonarWorks. They now have an AI vocal suite. And, they advertise it as like, quote unquote, ethically trained and such. And it's interesting territory because it's like you compare it to, let's say you're using your own voice and altering it with like format shifters and those kind of things. What is the difference between that and let's say like a plugin that is built off of properly compensated and consent based models that can then alter your voice into, let's say, like a different just sounding totally different. So I don't know, it's like once the ethical aspect or like the training is more consent based, that opens up a totally different conversation in my mind about like whether it makes sense or not. And my biggest issue has mostly been around like proper compensation because it's such a big issue, right? Like even if, let's say, for example, you give consent for your voice to be used for training data, the payment models I think could still risk being like really exploitative because you should, I think the best case scenario is a mixed payment structure of like a one-time fee and then a recurring fee, like something that compensates for the usage and your contribution to, let's say, like I don't know, maybe it's too much to think of it that way, but it's blurring so many lines. It's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. But it just seems like if your voice, traditionally, if you contribute anything, the tradition in the music industry is that if you were just in the room while a song is being made, it doesn't matter what you contributed. If you just did one word, you get still an equal part cut of that song. And so, the more the production is like outsourced to an AI that, isn't demanding a cut per se, but the company that owns the model is being paid instead, it kind of shifts the compensation away from independent artists and towards companies that own these models. And that's only if the payment structure doesn't allow for the people whose data and whose talent is being used to create the models properly. Like if the compensation structure isn't right, then it could be kind of messed up. But anyways, what's up already? As a certified Vocaloid vocal synth enjoyer, some voice banks use AI, particularly in Synth V and Vocaloid 6, right? That doesn't surprise me. However, these are still based in traditional what is that word? Concatenative synthesis. Concatenative. They're made with vocalist consent, and the AI runs fully locally rather than on an NVIDIA Space Heater. Okay. I think they get commissions from voice bank sales as well, right? Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, technology is always going to change these things, and it's important to have these conversations and not just sideswipe it. You know, I think like I don't know. I think that it's easier if you're in a position of power and success in the industry to maybe like treat it as like this is just developing technology. We always have new breakthroughs in technology that influences the arts and how we work, and but you can't really compare. It's just there's been nothing like this before. It's really tough to make these kind of. It's an apples and oranges kind of situation, in my opinion. Thank you for the follow, Boudard. I appreciate it. Concat. I'll just remember cat. That'll be good. Okay, let's move on to the next person. Let's see who else we got. What's up, Mattism? What you got for us? So, concatenative vocal synthesis is at its core taking a bunch of individual phoneme and diphthong samples and sticking them together to form words. Okay, actually, that makes a lot of sense to me. When I hear Vocaloid, it does feel that way. Like, so that makes sense to me. It does kind of feel like it's splicing together these different, diphthongs and such. Some breathing pads sounds nice. Why don't we go that route, Mattism? It is what Microsoft Sam was based on. Oh my gosh. Microsoft Sam. I haven't heard that in so long. You guys, I don't know if you know this, but Braken does an incredible Microsoft Sam impression. So next time you're hanging out in his stream, ask him to do his Microsoft Sam impression, please. Of course, vocal synths nowadays use a lot of techniques to make sound better, for sure. Yeah. You've never heard of Microsoft Sam? Dude, I'll never forget. Never forget. I want to remake the entire album again, but here. So we're going back to Spotify, it looks like. All right, let's check it out. Yeah, I'm glad you actually pointed out the hat because I was gonna mention that. I think for a laid-back kind of vibe, your drums do feel a bit too aggressive here. I think maybe some more lo-fi drums could have served you well. I do like the pads, the chords in the background. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with making simple things. Just kind of vibing out to those same chords. I think my biggest gripe is probably just the choice in sounds, and then also, like you mentioned, the volume of that hi-hat. It's quite aggressive, so I think just doing something like even just EQing it a bit. I think maybe something a bit shorter, then more lo-fi, like would have probably fit the bill quite a bit better. But I do like the vibe. But yeah, I mean, it honestly with something like this where the emphasis is on kind of like just these gentle pads and a simple chord progression, there's not a whole lot for me to add to that. I would say like yeah, just switching out those perks, and you probably could have probably helped your track quite a bit. But okay, so you got like a story-based album concept here. I see. Cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing, Mattism. Let's move on to the next person. See what else we are working with here. Art Nerd, you got. Is this going to be audio or visuals here? I'm curious. No more Minecraft songs? Oh, trust me, I have video game covers in the store. Nice. All right, let's see what you got. Get like rolled. I love it. I've never realized the overlap in letters there, Rick, and like. What was that chromatically meme you did? That one was pretty good. Hand drawn with a mouse and MS Paint? Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we got a couple people left here. Let's try to get through everyone for today. That would be a rare occasion. What's up, Rat Wizard? You got something for us to listen to? All right. Let's see what you got. Oh, the doubling is still there? Damn, I'm sorry.
Stop.
I'll probably wrap up the stream after this one in that case. Very cool. So, is this drum and bass or is this more like breakbeat? In my mind, I would guess this is more of a breakbeat kind of vibe, but either way. Because isn't drum and bass a bit faster? What the hell is breakbeat anyways? Hold on, what BPM is breakbeat? 110 to 160, okay, so it's basically just slower drum and bass, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, there's some cool stuff going on here. I actually really like the vibe. This section, very kind of like mysterious and ethereal. The key change there is interesting. I like those like plucky piano, felt piano things. It's really nice. I like this random stop here.
Stop.
Although I do feel like the mix kind of starts suffering here a bit more than it. It kind of feels like whatever sidechain settings were happening here earlier are kind of out of the picture here. The drums are getting kind of like muffled a bit more here, kind of like, yeah. So I kind of double check what's going on here. But overall, I really like it. It's interesting. I like that the chord progression that you're following is a lot longer than what you would normally see in electronic music. Honestly, like, I just feel like there's more room for experimentation when it comes to chord progressions in electronic music. The structure compositionally for EDM tends to be very, very straightforward. And I think this is a fun way to kind of like switch things up. You're kind of like shifting the tonal center. You're kind of shifting the tonal center away from the E flat. You're kind of bringing it to that, the B flat. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting tune. I like it. I would just keep, well, it looks like you've already published it actually, but I would keep working on it. There's some cool stuff going on here. I think a little more attention to detail, like in this section, for example, would probably be nice. I like this little effect that you got going on the drums here. Kind of sounds like it's starting to be like bit crushed almost or something. Like maybe it's like a Redux, like a vocoder or something. I don't know. Kind of hard to say, but it's cool. It's got a cool effect. And then it goes back to kind of like the OG drums there. But yeah, it's a cool idea. I feel it does feel a bit unfinished to me still. So if you think you've called quits on it, then so be it. But yeah, I would totally keep working on it. You kind of break things back down here, and then maybe slowly build it back up to this kind of section here later on in the song. But I like it. Hella compressed. Gotcha. But anyways, y'all, I know I started a little bit earlier than normal. I feel like there's still some issues apparently with the audio, so I can only hear the doubling on the kicks, so you don't have to end stream if nobody else is complaining. There's no phasing. Well, either way, I think I'm probably going to call it regardless, and I'll try to take a look at the VOD and see what's going on, because it sounds normal on my end for some reason. Maybe there's some kind of weird routing issue that I need to look into, but Mooger, do you hear it too? Okay, yeah. So I'll probably call it here for today, but I appreciate y'all hanging out. I might throw in an extra stream tomorrow. I'm just going to try to make up a little bit for being a little bit MIA earlier in April, so I might just like have a pretty active next week or so, or maybe just some longer streams. We'll see. So I might be live tomorrow, but if not, then I'll definitely be live on Sunday, normal time, 1 p.m. CDT. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, and appreciate you sharing all the tunes you guys are working on. Some cool stuff today. And I shall see you soon. Take care, y'all, and have a good weekend. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.